Hey guys, welcome back. Before we get started, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe below. So I wasn't planning on doing this video for a little while, but a lot of friends recently, actually like a number of my friends, have gone through medication changes or have gotten on new medications for mental illness recently, so I figured now is the time to talk about it. There are many varying opinions on the use of medication for mental illness. I'm not a doctor, so do not take anything I say in this video as qualified medical advice. This is just my personal experience. I personally have had a generally positive experience with medication. I have been on some sort of medication for my mental illness since I was 14 or 15. So that would be like 2009, 2010. And in that time span, I have been on probably more medications than I have fingers, because the thing about medication for mental illness is sometimes it can take a few different tries or combinations to get the right balance of what is appropriate for your brain chemistry. And that can be frustrating, but at the end of the day, if you find what's right for you, it's super worth it. The first medication I was ever put on was Zoloft. That personally did not work for me. Zoloft is just an SSRI, and it's a pretty standard type of antidepressant like Prozac. After that, I moved to Paxil, which also didn't work for me, and then Celexa, which did work for me, but I was on a high dose. If you dose too high with Celexa, it can cause some heart problems. My psychiatrist switched me to Lexapro, which is very chemically similar to Celexa, except you don't get the same side effects, like heart side effects. I've been on the Lexapro since then as my SSRI, and it's been very helpful for me. It's one of my favorite medications that I've ever been on. I think personally it works great for me. Might not work great for you, but that's just my experience. Now, because I have bipolar disorder, an SSRI just doesn't quite cut it. It helps a lot, but like with mania and the mood fluctuations, I still need a little bit more pharmaceutical assistance. So at first I was put on Abilify in late 2010, and then unfortunately I OD'd on that during a suicide attempt. That caused a bunch of negative reactions in me because I took way too much of it, and please do not ever do that. It will seriously mess you up. Like, do not. So then they tried Geodon, and that was just way too sedative type for me. And they wanted to put me on Seroquel, but at this time I had started doing a lot of research about my diagnosis and the best treatment for it. I found that lithium carbonate has been around in treatment for bipolar disorder for years and years, since mid to early 1900s, I believe. It's kind of considered the gold standard treatment still for bipolar disorder. At least a lot of doctors consider it to be that way. The thing about lithium that makes some doctors not like prescribing it is you do have to monitor blood levels of the lithium regularly, because if there's too much lithium in your system, you can get lithium toxicity, which is not good. So you need to keep an careful eye on that and adjust dosages accordingly. But it's one of only two, as far as I know, one of only two medications in all of psychopharmacology proven to either decrease or eliminate suicidal thinking, and I'm one of those people who has just chronic suicidal, self-harmful, intrusive type thoughts. The lithium has definitely made a huge positive difference in that for me, and has also helped to level out my mood episodes, so I have been on that consistently since 2011. I also am prescribed lorazepam, aka Ativan, for panic attacks and for when I fly, although I don't use it very often because it causes me to lose very large chunks of time memory-wise, and I just don't like that feeling personally. It affects everybody differently, but I'm very sensitive to it, so I don't use that very often. And then I'm also prescribed prazosin, which is technically a high blood pressure medication, but a lot of doctors use it off-label to treat PTSD because it can help with nightmares and flashbacks. And it's been pretty helpful for that for me. And I haven't had too many negative side effects. At the beginning, it can make you, like, it can make your blood pressure drop kind of easily when you're standing, so it can make you like really lightheaded at first, but as your body gets used to the drug, it doesn't happen as much anymore, so I don't really experience any side effects from that. With the lithium, if I don't drink enough water, you have to drink a lot of water on lithium because it is a salt and it's excreted through your kidneys. If I don't drink enough water, my hands will sometimes shake, but other than that, that's really the only side effect that I've had. Some people experience weight gain, I did not. All in all, it's been a pretty kind medication to me. When I first started taking medication for my mental illness, it was prescribed through my pediatrician. A lot of people go to their primary care doctor or pediatrician if you're under the age of 18 when they're first exploring options for psychiatric medication, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you do have a more complicated mental illness diagnosis profile, if you have several things going on at once, it might be better to see a psychiatrist because they really specialize in medications for those types of things, and that's like their focus. One of the main concerns that a lot of people have about taking medication for mental illness is that it'll change their personality, it'll make them different, it'll numb them, it will make their problem worse, it will make them suicidal, it will change who they are, it's a band-aid. People have all sorts of opinions about it. And if you are on the wrong medication, or if it's not dosed properly, or if you are not taking it as directed, because a lot of people are prescribed medication, but then they take too much, they take too little, they don't take it regularly. So it's very important to take medication exactly as your doctor or psychiatrist prescribes it. A lot of people who are on the wrong medication, or don't have it dosed properly, or aren't taking it properly, can experience negative side effects like feeling numb, or feeling more depressed, or feeling suicidal. But as a whole, psychiatric medications will not change who you are as a person. They don't change my personality. I'm still me, I'm still Claire, but I'm Claire who is functional. I'm Claire who can participate actively, or more actively, in my life, and it's helped me to live my life more to the fullest. And as far as the idea of medication being a band-aid for issues that people should just work out, or just get over it, or whatever. Mental illness is caused by chemical imbalances in the brain, and if you have issues like diabetes or hyper or hypothyroidism or anything like that that requires medication, you're gonna take your medication to treat the imbalance. So for me, like, in my mind anyway, an imbalance up here is no different than an imbalance here, or an imbalance in my heart, or in my pancreas, or whatever. And I'm gonna take medication to sort that out. And I don't personally think that there's anything wrong with that. One last thing that I would like to touch on is when you are on psychiatric medication, please be mindful of your alcohol and drug consumption, because those things can really, really, really affect the way that your medication behaves in your brain and the way that it works for you. Please talk to your doctor if you do engage in those activities, because it can definitely affect the way that your medication works. I hope that this video was helpful, informative, whatever. I think there's a lot of stigma still surrounding the concept of taking medication for mental illness, like it makes you weak or whatever, and I think it's important to dispel that, because there's nothing wrong with it. And that's all I have to say. So I hope you all have a fantastic day, week, weekend, life, and I will see you in the next video. Stay safe.